So, good afternoon. My name is Graham. I'm with the Vintage Guitar Players Group. You can find us on facebook.com/groups/the Vintage Place. Remember to have a look on Instagram at 95 Vintage Legends. And we would be eternally grateful if you decide to give us a little thumbs up and subscribe below as well, please. And I'm here for the next Vintage Legends with Carrie Martin. So Carrie's not only one of the Vintage endorsers, but she's also one of the folks that help admin the Vintage Guitar Players Group as well. So thank you for joining us today, Carrie. Very much appreciated. How are you?
Hi, Graham. I'm good, thanks.
Very much appreciate you joining us. So, if I can ask to start with, could you tell us a bit about your music?
Yeah, I'm probably classed folk rock, I think, although people do struggle to put me into some sort of genre. So I tend to describe myself as a singer-songwriter. But recently I did play a prog rock club, and it was one of those situations where you think, what am I doing here? Because I'm not really prog rock. So I just sort of went on stage looking like I was prog rock with all the jacket and everything on and said, well, I'm dressed for the occasion. I don't really know what you're going to make of me. But they absolutely loved it. And then recently, last Thursday, I was invited onto the Prog Rock Files with a guy called Gary Foster, who actually saw me at that gig. So I don't know, I fall into many categories, I think. But I do know the traditional folkies don't really like me that much because I'm not singing about dead dogs and things, you know.
So basically, a little bit in between a few different genres, but although whilst you go down well with the crowd, not popular within the particular genres, what you're saying.
No, I don't think I really fit in anywhere, Graham, to be totally honest. But my music, most of it is my own original music, sort of stretches across many genres, probably folk, pop and rock, you know, so it's depends what mood I'm in when I'm about to write something, I think.
Yeah. I think as well, obviously we had been kind of talking about this I think over the last couple of days as well, you know, but you know, strap lines for, you know, like artists and stuff, and it's like how difficult it can be to, I suppose, take all the hours of, you know, like writing stuff, recording stuff, trying to get past mental blocks with certain things and all that, and then like cool, just distill that into 5 words, going like what? It's like, you know, there can be a bit more to it. But on the front of Vintage, then how did you discover them in the first place?
Well, I gave up music for a lot of years, and I had a chance meeting with Gordon Giltrap. We became friends, and it was Gordon that initially introduced me to Vintage. I'd heard of them before, but at that point I think I was playing an Ovation guitar. It had been in the loft many years, and he sort of had his first model out, which was based on the Rob Armstrong design that he had many years ago. And originally it was the 2000, the Gordon Giltrap Signature 2000. Obviously later on they brought the deluxe out, but the very first one that I had was the 2000.
Okay. And what I suppose, you know, attracts you to playing Vintage over, you know, bands at Ovation, for example?
I think the first thing was because I'm only a tiny person as well. I found the 2000. The 2000 was very easy for me to use. The Ovation was a little bit overpowering for me, and it wasn't comfortable to sit with or to stand with, really. So when Gordon mentioned swapping over to Vintage and trying a 2000 out, the first thing I thought was, this guitar fits me a lot better than any other guitar I've ever picked up. It's got that tiny nipped-in waist. Yeah. And what was different for me was the fingerboard is a lot wider than what I was used to with the Ovation, but what I found was that actually suited me better. And I settled quite quickly into that sort of wider fingerboard. I quite like it.
Yeah. And in terms of the models you've got at the moment, so you've got the 2000, do you have any other models at the moment?
I've got quite a lot, actually. I've got the JG 3000, which is the one that was brought out in memory of Gordon's son, Jamie. Yeah. I've got the original 2000 Mahogany. That was just an acoustic guitar. I've got a few of the deluxes, a couple of the Viators, and a couple of the old models as well. I've got them all around me, so if you want to see any of them, I mean, we were talking about the Gordon Giltrap signature. You can see the sort of tiny waist there, so when you sort of sit it's sort of easy. I struggle a little bit with the jumbo guitars because I'm only sort of tiny. But I sort of like, I mean, what I did notice about these when I first started playing as well, they're in a nice matte finish, and that's sort of become quite popular now. But at the time, every guitar I'd ever had been sort of shiny, so this was like a first for me to have a matte guitar, you know. So so yeah, I've got quite a few of these, and the deluxe is definitely the Deluxe 2000 is definitely my favourite stage guitar, I've got to admit. It's got that vibrancy around it. It's a lovely guitar to have on the road with you. It sounds lovely when it's picked, but at the same time, it's got a lot of it's versatile, I guess. It's got a lot of vibrance when it's being strummed. So for me, I like to hybrid pick with a plectrum, so I can pick with it and then go into a nice strum, and it's got the best of both worlds, the Deluxe. I think it's definitely my favourite guitar.
Yeah, so I suppose a bit of the kind of clarity and definition for picking, but the kind of body for the kind of strumming, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I mean, when it's plugged in as well, it's an amazing guitar. I mean, for in its price range, I just don't believe it can be beaten. You know, I've tried lots of guitars that have cost a lot more than that, and obviously I've been at NAMM and tried a lot of guitars out on the stand there, and it's just a cracking guitar for its price, you know. When it's plugged, it's got the Fishman rare earth mic blend in it, and it's just a beautiful guitar with that nipped in waist. You get a lot of volume from it, you know. It's just got a lovely sound. Really happy playing it.
One thing I would probably say as well, and it's kind of go back slightly, but the matte finish. I think the really cool thing about the matte finish on a lot of guitars is when it comes to getting like photography done for, like, you know, gigs and stuff like that. It can make things a lot easier because you're blinded by the reflection of the stage light sort of thing as well, you know.
Yeah. I mean, noticed that when I was live streaming during the lockdown, any shiny guitars were sort of reflecting the lighting that we put in the studio to try and, you know, make it a bit brighter. And obviously, if you're using a circle light or anything for your iPad, it reflects in the guitar, whereas you just don't get that with a matte finish guitar, which is quite good.
Yeah, might start scuffing some of my guitars a little. One thing I was going to ask about NAMM on a slight tangent. Obviously, this year it seemed to be quite notable that again there was two huge big names that weren't there, beginning with F and G. You were
those that shall not be mentioned.
Those that shall not be mentioned. That's the ones. That you were saying there was quite a bit of a buzz around the vintage store this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think. I mean, we've discussed this many times amongst us as admins. I think there's a lot of guitar snobbery goes on, and with those two major, those that shall not be named, missing, I think a lot of people sort of decided they would look at other things, which maybe they wouldn't have done before, and the vintage booth was just rammed 24/7, which was great to see. And of course, they had a lot of the new models out, you know, and they just sort of look really, really good. Different, do you know what I mean? And people were just queuing to get to sit down and play them, which was just brilliant to see. Do you know? I was there 2020. It was definitely it's definitely made a difference this year with less bigger makes being there than vintage, and I think it's a good thing that people then dare to try something. But you know that they've never tried before, or they would be too, I don't want to try one of them, it's not so and so, it's not so and so. Do you know what I mean? It's good that people actually got the chance or sat down and played something different and realised that you don't have to spend an absolute fortune on a guitar to get something that A, looks good, B, sounds brilliant. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of it goes on, and I think people need to open their minds a bit more, you know, to sort of steer away a little bit from the more well-known brands and to try something different. They might get a pleasant surprise, which a lot of them did, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's with anything else in life, it's trying to, you know, put aside preconceptions and just, you know, try and look at things with like an open mind and see.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Just, you know, make your own observations, you know. For anyone wondering, those brands are Gender and Fibson. That's what they're called. We'll go with that. What I would ask then, there was obviously a lot of stuff on display at NAMM this year, obviously for new models and such, and I suppose that I would like to obviously see new things all the time because I would like to buy some new guitars all the time, I suppose. But from your own point of view, if you were to see or to have a hand in what comes from vintage going forward, or if you were to have your own Carrie Martin signature model, what would you like to see?
Um, I definitely, if I had a signature model, I'd love a cutaway guitar. Because I'm not a guitarist that stays at the bottom end. I like to go right to the dusty end
The
of
dusty
the
end.
scale. So I use a cutaway. I'm using at the minute this is like a vintage. It's a 500 maple, which
Those discontinued.
it's got, yeah, discontinued. And they did have in the new range of acoustics a cutaway. I think they're a mahogany range. What if it was my signature guitar? I definitely want maybe a maple top with dark sides. I like to see a contrast
Yeah, that sounds cool.
between the two woods. Vintage. I'll just reach and show you this. Vintage made me this. It's the Viator, and it's like a one-off. And I don't know if you can see that they
Yeah, yeah.
actually some dragonflies in there, but I really like
The
that
contrast
contrast
sides.
between the two woods. So if it was my guitar, I would like it to be those two contrasting woods, definitely with a cutaway, with a Fishman Rare Earth mic blend because I absolutely love those pickups, and possibly if we was really going to push the boat out, I'd like
Push it.
a butterfly design on the top rack or a dragonfly. Do you know, something to do with nature? Because I mean, maybe possibly a dragonfly because then that's not so feminine as a butterfly. You know, it's like appeal to guys as well. Maybe a bit of Celtic around the Celtic design around the sound hole would be nice. Bit
That'd be very
folky,
cool.
rocky. Do you know, something that yeah.
And
I could think of many designs that I'd like if I had to pick a signature guitar for myself. Yeah, definitely, I could think of lots of things. But for me, the cutaways are definite. I need it to be a cutaway, and I'd like it to be in the two tones of wood.
okay, and do you reckon as well, probably again, a nice kind of nipped waist?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've spoken with Gordon. Gordon, many for those that don't know me very well, Gordon mentors me, Gordon Giltrap, and we spoke about this many times. If I could get a guitar by Vintage that was sounding as amazing as the 2000 Deluxe, which just is unbeatable. Obviously, with that nipped in waist, it's difficult to get that cutaway in. It's really tiny around that area. But yeah, if there was a way of sort of getting that guitar to be a cutaway, that would be a perfect thing for me.
I'm sure they're taking notes as we speak here. And in terms of music, then what have you got lined up for recording and gigging and such?
And I'm just recording my third album beside the Evergreen. I'm very lucky, and my son finished a degree in sound engineering, so he's actually recording it in the studio that I'm in.
Okay.
We're about we're about 8 tracks done out of the 10, so we're moving on quite nicely. And a couple of the tracks have gone off for drums. Duncan out the John Hackett band, he's going to put some drums on, and I'm hoping for a guitar solo off Roger Fisher from Heart. We did speak about it, and he's promised that he would do that for me. So that's good. In terms of gigs, I mean, next month it's just mad. I mean, at the end of this month, I've got Drum Festival on the 29th and 30th, but then August, there's just like 16 gigs within the month, and I'm just everywhere. I'm all over the place, which I'm not going to complain because after the lockdown and COVID, it's just nice to be back out gigging ground. So, you know, but it's a bit like buses, you know, you wait for gigs and then they all come in at once. And when your diary's full for a month, and, you know, I've got 2 days, I think the 20th, the 13th of August and the 20th of August, I think they're the 2 dates where I've got 2 gigs. So I'm finding myself rushing from Withfest, which is like festival in Wednesday, right up to Saltburn on the East Coast. You know, so it's just like, it's madness. And then I've got another one that's led me a Trip Fest, and then I'm rushing down to Newbold, and then the next day I'm in the Cotswolds. You know, it's just like all over the place. But you can guarantee you've got a busy day, you're going to get another festival will ask you to play, and you don't want to turn that festival down,
No, of
because
course.
we've just had such a bad time the last 2 years, musicians, as we all know. Yeah.
That's fair play. And in terms of your music, then where is the best place to find you, music wise?
I'm on Facebook, obviously, and Instagram, Carrie Martin Music. And I've got a website, www.carriemartin.co.uk. But I mean, if you're a guitar buff, you might find me at a couple of the guitar shows as well. I'm playing the Northern Guitar Show and the London International at Kempton Park on the 30th. So if any of your vintage followers off the page are there, please do come say hi and chat strings and for guitar gigs. So I quite like stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll be sure to obviously make sure there's links up for all that kind of stuff as well. But let me say very, very greatly appreciated that you've come along today for your interview, Carrie. Very much appreciated, and it's been great to hear about obviously your ideas for what they should get going for the next kind of guitars and such going forward, and your signature model, which we shall eagerly be waiting.
Thanks for inviting me, Graham. It's been good fun.
Pleasure. Awesome. Cheers, Carrie. You take care. Bye bye.
Bye.